Hello everyone, and welcome to the 4J's show here at Utica TV. I'm your host, James Brown. Today we got a lot of topics to discuss, but before we get there, let's go around the table and introduce ourselves, starting over to my right.
What's going on? Jeremy Horowitz here. Read the sign, 8-0, for a great first week of the show. Get used to it, because that's what I'm going to bring to the show. Everyone else doesn't have the type of ball knowledge that we got on this side of the table. Excited for another week of a great show, and I'm going to swing it over to the other side of the table.
Jack Rathburn, I aspire to one day maybe have the ball knowledge that Jeremy Horowitz has. One day I'll get there. I didn't go 8-0. I think I got 1 or 2 wrong, but excited to do picks again. Hopefully I can go 8-0. Get up to that Jeremy Horowitz status.
7-1 here. You can read this sign. This one's Jeremy's overrated. Jeremy's going to keep talking every week, but I know the most ball at this table, and Jeremy's 8-0 is a fluke, and I'm excited to be back, and I'm Justin Notar. I think I should have said that first.
Well, we got a lot to discuss. We'll test that ball knowledge later on. First, I got to recap some crazy stuff that happened this week. Men's basketball team brought home 2 huge wins to sweep the weekend over St. John Fisher and Nazareth. Many people at this table broadcasted those games, so let's recap those for those that might have missed those. Starting with Friday's game, we're going to play a quick recap for you guys that missed them. What a game. Both of those were. I mean, you saw Fisher was just pure dominance. And then the Nazareth game, massive comeback. Deion Thompson, great performances in both games. Justin, you were part of that broadcast on versus St. John Fisher on Friday. What was it like?
Well, Utica simply just handled business. I mean, from start to finish, this was a game that they never had worries in. The viral sensation, Connor Williams, they call him Big Cozy, came into town and they, mentally moved past the loss against Poly and came in and handled business against Fisher. And we talked about this last week, how Fisher wasn't a great three-point shooting team, and Utica made them uncomfortable by making them shoot the 3 ball. And just a great performance and great coaching by Coach Coffey to have them move past mentally the mindset of losing to Poly, and they come back and they beat Fisher at home, win by 34, an impressive win. Definitely a great performance by the Pioneers.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to just hold this up for those of you that can't see. It says, I was wrong. I was so wrong about this game. I thought Connor Williams was going to dominate. I mean, and he really didn't. I mean, they held him to, not a great field goal percentage, 10-10 game. But I think the biggest difference was the shooting percentages. They shot 52% from the field, 47 from three. This Pioneers team shot under 40% throughout the whole season. But the last couple of games throughout the season, they've seemed to really step it up. They also held Fisher to 18% from beyond the arc. Like, what was that perimeter defense like in that game, Justin?
You could tell they were playing with a purpose, and mentally in any sport, coming off of a loss, I think that Poly loss really changed their mindsets around. But they were everywhere, and it wasn't even just the starting guards. It was whoever came in, just pure dominance throughout the entire game. And Fisher, whenever Connor Williams got the ball down low, they would double team and force those shooters to make those shots, and they wouldn't. And it was a great game plan, and it worked out. Yeah,
I think the defense really, as well as they shot the ball, I feel like the defense, I mean, they only had turned over the ball 6 times, 4-16. And then we talked about, too, that Iggy Ezebo was going to be a big part of this game. 9 points in 7 minutes, guys. Great game.
Yeah, they keep sending him to the free throw line. I'm kind of with you. I was wrong on this game as well. You and I were the only two that picked St. John Fisher. Maybe we didn't do our homework. St. John Fisher has struggled in these Empire 8 games, so maybe that's on you and me. Learn for the future. But no, they really struggled to score, just get to the basket. Connor Williams was the leading scorer with only 10 points, which, again, pretty solid game from Connor Williams. But it's the rest of the team that couldn't exactly find a way to put the ball in the net and struggled against a Pioneer defense and a Pioneer offense that was doing really well on their side of the ball as well.
Yeah, I think it was interesting to see the Cardinals only have one player in double figure scoring, which was Connor Williams, as you guys mentioned, 10-10 night from him. But we brought up last week how we thought Iggy Ezebo would kind of be like the key factor in that game, and that's what he kind of turned out to be. Again, only played, 7 minutes, you said? Had 9 points in 7 minutes, played fantastic defense on Big Cozy, and he's a spark plug for this basketball team. And we're going to get into what happened on Saturday with our men's team here. But having Iggy on this bench, and as soon as he checks in at the scorer's table, the student section, there's a different type of buzz around Iggy and what he brings to the table for this team. And I really think having a guy like that can really just propel a season much further than anyone thought it could go.
Yeah, let's transition into that right now, that Nazareth game. 87-77 win in overtime. Jack, great game.
It was an awesome game. And I do want to kind of talk about what you were saying, Jeremy, like with Iggy Ezebo. Like, he's obviously a fan favorite. Everyone loves him. And it's kind of fun to like watch him play. But I do think that is like an actual big part of like the way this team plays. And if you're able to have a guy that, like, if nothing else, brings your team the energy back into the game, that's a huge player to have, because the Pioneers were down 22 at the half. They were down 26 at one point, and then they were to come back and win by 10 in overtime. Something happened. I think Iggy Ezebo, if nothing else, was bringing the energy. And obviously you saw clips of that in the kind of the highlight reel. Like, he's a big guy. He's able to get into the paint. He's able to use his body, make his way to the rim. He's able to score points. And they're scared of him. They had to send him to the free throw line. He had a couple points off free throws. He's a really important part of this team, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, and the thing with Naz, they don't have a guy who can guard a player like Iggy. They don't have a center who's built like the way Iggy Ezebo was built. And Jack, you brought up a great point. They were down 22 at halftime. A lot of that is because Deion Thompson had 2 points going into the half. He finished the game with 22, scoring 20 points in the second half and overtime. But I think the keys to that game were guys on the bench like Iggy and Devin Flynn. Devin Flynn had a fantastic game, had 13 points and 8 rebounds, and was really, again, I don't want to keep reusing the word, but a spark plug for the Pioneers team. Him and Iggy, the student section was behind them all game long. Every time they were on the court, every time they had the ball in their hands, they made something good happen on either the offensive or defensive end of the floor. And going back on the defensive end, you had Ryan McCardle, 2 huge blocks late in the second half, and Nazareth wasn't comfortable as soon as that second half started. The Pioneers said whatever Sean Coffey said at halftime. I mean, like Jack said last week, we need that for our speeches before tests. Because that obviously it worked.
You know, Devin Flynn was definitely a big part of that game, and it's interesting. It's exciting to see him be able to kind of fill those big shoes. He's like coming off the bench, playing 19 minutes on that game, but then able to kind of get the big baskets, tie the game up, and then Iggy Ezebo gave him the lead. Like, those are just 2 guys that, like, you don't hear their name a whole bunch when you're talking like the big players of the game, but it was really fun to see them get these big plays in a moment like that.
Yeah, also another name we didn't mention, Isaiah Smith, freshman. He had a big part in this game. He was 2 for 2 from 3, 12 points in 18 minutes. And Flynn was 13 points in 19 minutes. And for Zebwood, the box score doesn't do any justice with how much momentum he brought this team. And momentum is a huge thing in basketball. It's a game of runs. And Utica definitely went on a run, I would say probably from 15 minutes on in that second half. You brought up McCardle. That was a great point. He also brought a spark. And these kids, they want to play. And obviously not a great showing in the first half, but they came out with some spark in that second half. And really, I think they got behind the crowd, too. Once the crowd started getting into it, Nazareth was a little dysfunctional on the offensive end, and Utica took advantage. They used their defense to set up their offense, and it worked out perfect.
Yeah, I think, like you guys all said, second half was incredible. Just one statistic that I found absolutely mind-boggling is in the biggest moments of the game, the Pioneers outshined the Golden Flyers. 83% field goal percentage in overtime. Nazareth, 33. Absolutely dominated on every facet of the ball. 2 huge wins. Going to recap next week when we talk about some big games that we're going to preview. But let's transition over to the women's basketball side of things. Women's basketball fell short this weekend, losing both matchups this weekend. Jeremy, you were on the call for that game versus Fisher. What led the ladies to not have too much success in that one?
Yeah, there was a lot worse going into half. Again, Michelle Davis had probably another phenomenal halftime speech to get her girls amped up for that second half of play, but the St. John Fisher Cardinals were just too much. Sydney Tomaso had a fantastic game, 25 points, 13 rebounds. Katie Moravik for Fisher, 20 points, 5 rebounds. She also reached the 1,000-point club, so shout out to her. Congratulations. That's a big, big mark for a college basketball player, no matter what level. But the Pioneers in the second half, they went on a couple runs. They really made this game close. I was on the call with Nick Phillips, and it really seemed like things were kind of getting out of hand and that the Pioneers didn't really have any chance, but they started knocking down threes. Hannah Godkin hit back-to-back threes in like a 10-second span, and it cut the lead to single digits, and they just really couldn't get over that hump, but we didn't see them losing that game by that small of a margin. So, I mean, I really think I said it last week, they wanted to go into these games against the better teams in conference and kind of see what they got, and they showed up. They have no quit, and I really think that's an important thing to have in any type of team.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you kind of said no one really expected them to really perform in this game. Like, the expectations, I think, were low, which is nothing against this women's team, because there's a lot of really talented players on that team. But St. John Fisher, they haven't lost the conference game yet. I think it's kind of more of a testament to Utica at how close they were able to make it, especially at certain points in the game.
Yeah, and I brought up last week a couple of points where the struggles were for this women's team. It was, giving up offensive rebounds and turnovers, and they actually out-rebounded Fisher in this game, but 19 turnovers, it's hard to win a basketball game like that, so definitely something to look forward to, going into the next couple of games is how will they do to close the season, how will they do keeping care of the ball and trying not to turn it over. 19 turnovers, it's really hard to say in a game against a team that, like Jack said, is undefeated in conference play.
Yeah, and in that game, it felt like every possession in the first half, they just kept turning the ball over. It felt like it had like butter on it or something. And as soon as Fisher had it, they wouldn't give it up. So again, it's really tough to beat a team when you turn the ball over that many times, and when they don't turn it over at all, you're just giving them extra possessions. But I mean, they battled, and props to them for that.
Yeah, tough 10-point loss then. Nazareth, 20-point loss. A lot of key factors in that game with the turnovers. 21 turnovers. Shot 3 for 11 from 3, and in an age that the three-point shot has really, became the key to basketball. Expected them to shoot a little bit more threes than that, but definitely had some good things to build off of in this game. Mackenzie Simmons had a 15-point, 7-rebound game, and I feel like another good thing is that when you look at the stat sheet with this team, they go to the line a lot. They shot 20 free throws in this one, I believe 23 versus St. John Fisher. So they went 14 for 20 from the line, and I feel like if you can get more free throw attempts, try and slow down the game, play it at your pace, I feel like they could have some more success late on this season and then heading into next season as well.
Yeah. Definitely.
There you go.
No, not to cut you off, but not to also beat the I don't know the expression. Yeah, beat the dead horse, but 21 turnovers in that game. So just it's a repeating factor for them, and like I said, definitely something to look forward to in the next couple of games.
Yeah, I was going to kind of say, piggyback what you were saying, JB, about three-point shooting kind of in today's modern game. I think one of the big losses that's kind of overlooked is Haley Burchart last year. She was one of the biggest three-point shooters on this team. She was able to really keep them kind of involved in that kind of shifting culture. And that was like a big loss, I think, for the team coming into the season.
Yeah, she was, the ball handler, one of the better players in the team. She was averaging, I think, close to a triple-double or something like that, some crazy numbers. Haley Burchart was a great player. So that was a tough loss to lose her. But, I think if they could shoot the ball better, limit the turnovers, we'll talk about some upcoming games they have. I feel like they could try and build off of that and have some success. 40 turnovers in a weekend isn't too much of a recipe for success.
It's going to be tough to win any type of game when you give the ball up 40 times to the other team. I mean, again, something to work on, but the team has fight, and I really think that is something to take away from the weekend.
Definitely things to work and grow with.
Yeah, if you're building a culture where it's like we don't quit, like we have heart. You're going to get recruits, and you're going to build a winning culture. It just takes time.
Absolutely. And now let's move over to the ice. We had an incredible game between the men's hockey team and SUNY Brockport on Saturday night. It was a back and forth throughout, and then in the third period, tied at 1, Shane Murphy maneuvered his way to score a phenomenal game-winning goal in a 2-1 win. Let's take another look at this one. I mean, this was an incredible performance right here by the men's.
Murphy changing angles, delays, sweeps his way through and scores! Goals in back-to-back games for Shane Murphy to break out of a lengthy slump. He's got points in all 4 against Brockport this year.
Shane Murphy's had himself a great season. Jeremy, you got to watch him play a lot. What was that like seeing him win that game with that goal?
Well, I just love hearing the voice of Ray Biggs.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, I mean, it's just electric. But yeah, Shane Murphy having a phenomenal season. The moves he put on the defender there, I mean, that's video game type stuff. You don't see that every day, especially not at a D3 level. But when you go to the Odd to watch the Utica Pioneers play, things like that obviously can and will happen. At home, 2-1 win against a conference opponent, it's a good win. But the night before, you go into their house, you win 7-1. That's a pretty good weekend. 9 goals in 2 games, only giving up 2. That's a really, really good weekend. Shane Murphy had 2 goals over the weekend, 1 on Friday night, and obviously the game winner on Saturday night. And you can just say, you can't stop talking about the goalie play of Ryan Piros. I mean, we talked about him last week, and we're talking about him again this week. Another phenomenal showing, 2 goals in 2 games, and you really can't go wrong by putting either of these goalies in the net. But having him transfer into this program has been huge for them.
Absolutely. Jacob Bro, kind of the other one I want to talk about, too. Another huge part of this team.
You can never go wrong talking about Jacob Bro.
Absolutely not. A back-to-back Empire 8 Player of the Week. A really dominant player. Scored 2 against Brockport in that 7-1 victory. So he's another guy to talk about, along with Shane Murphy, who was the leading goal scorer, I want to say, last year. Is that right, Jeremy?
I will double check that for you.
I think he was the leading goal scorer, point scorer, or something like that.
Let me check. You keep talking.
I've got nothing else to say. I mean, you talk about Ryan Piros between the pipes. There's just a lot of really consistent guys. Johnny Malera, another guy that I've loved to watch. He's got a lot of opportunities, especially earlier in the season. I saw him get a lot of opportunities, shot creation, and just opportunity creation. He was able to produce a lot. Didn't necessarily produce the stats, the goals, the assists, the points, whatever you want to say. Maybe a show for it, but if you're watching the games, you can really see the talent of Johnny Malera. So it's good to see him getting the consistent ice time.
Shane Murphy was 4th on the team last year in points with 28, behind Scoville, Jacob Bro, and Matt Wood. So 3 pretty good names to be behind in a 28-point season in 30 games. It's pretty damn good.
Yeah, also, too, Ryan Piros 7-0 in between the pipes. Definitely a huge pickup. And also 7-0 in general for the Pioneers after losing on Teddy Bear Toss night. Definitely a great time to start winning again. That was a heartbreaking loss for them, but a great bounce back, and I'm excited to see what they can do moving forward as well.
He was leading goals last year.
That's what it was, yeah. No, but I like the point you brought up. Losing the Teddy Bear Toss game, that's tough. Like, there's really only 1 or 2 ways you can go there. It's kind of like Ohio State and Michigan. You lose to Michigan, it's like, okay, which team do you want to be? And we obviously saw the Ohio State Buckeyes. I'm not even trying to stir up some bad beef on that side of the table.
Just for some context, he's a Michigan fan, I'm an Ohio State fan.
But
just for some context.
It's something like losing a game like the Teddy Bear Toss game is like a big rivalry game. You never want to lose that game, but you can kind of go 1 or 2 ways. You can either harp on that loss the rest of the year and soak, or you can come out and be a better team. That's what we've seen the Pioneers do. Obviously, 7-0 since that's happened, and this team is a force to reckon with.
Yeah, it's a great comparison, but my only question for you guys is, Brockport, they're a good team, but they're not the best team. We see a lot of these 1-goal games with the Pioneers, but whether it be 1-0, 2-1, 4-3. Do you think this is something like, is it a good thing that they're winning these close games, or do you think they should be blowing out these teams a little bit more?
I mean, anytime you win a close game, I don't think it's something that's bad necessarily. I mean, especially coming off a game where you routed them in their own house the night before, and it's a conference game at the end of the day. No one wants to get swept in conference play. It doesn't matter if it's baseball, hockey, track, whatever sport it is. You never want to lose both games you're playing or both meets you're at, whatever it is. But any conference game, it's going to be close. It's like a divisional game in football, or it's like a divisional game in a baseball playoff game. Like, you never want to go out and lose both or lose all the games you play against a certain opponent. But, I mean, the Pioneers know how to win when it matters most. They know how to win the close game, and I think that honestly helps them going into the playoffs and hopefully going into the NCAA tournament.
I think it's also a lot of like stuff that we're not able to know. I mean, whatever the coach is saying, if he's not as worried about an opponent and he's trying to play him in a different way, maybe try something new, that's going to produce a much closer game as if he's saying, we know this stuff works, we're just going to blow them out by however many that is. That's just stuff we can't predict.
And I think it's also good, like, blowing everybody out every game doesn't necessarily get you anywhere. Like, you just kind of get lackadaisical and you're like, oh, you know, you look past certain opponents. And any given night you can lose, you know what I mean? And when you come out, you realize, like, we have to play our best night in, night out. I think that's what this team does, especially this second half of the season. Come back off that Teddy Veritas loss, they have come out a different team, and winning a close game or a blowout. It doesn't. Obviously, the number of goals you score doesn't matter when you're winning, but when you win, that's a good thing. And winning close games translates into the playoffs.
Yeah, well, speaking of blowouts, women's hockey dominated at the odd, outscoring Manhattanville 9-0 in a 2-game sweep. Let's take a closer look at all 9 of those goals. 7-0 the win on Friday, 2-0 the win on Saturday. 2 incredible performances. You know, we talked about, I think we all went 2-0 on those picks. We did have somebody at this table that was on that broadcast, though, Jack Rathburn. What was that like, being a part of that 7-0 game?
It was a really exciting game to watch. I mean, obviously a blowout, not a whole lot of like anticipation, but it was really fun to see this women's team really come together. We were, me and Mike Malzahn were the ones on the call talking about kind of something we've heard about is this new coach. Kind of different going into a season with a new coach. There's a new feel. Obviously, there's new players in the college environment, but it was really great to see them be able to perform so well. Obviously, they're a ranked team, really kind of feared, I think, in the Division III world. But again, I don't think Manhattanville ever was in a point where they were really comfortable. The only thing I would argue is after they pulled the goalie, they had to switch goalie. I think it was Hawkinson. Elsa Hawkinson was the one that replaced, I don't remember the first goalie they had after 7 goals. And she had a really solid game. Didn't let up any goals. That's when you see the third period, no goals let up after the 7. So Manhattanville wasn't like a wipe them off the schedule. We don't have to worry about this game like Jeremy was just talking about with the men's team. This is a team you have to kind of like, they're a solid team. They've got a lot of good players. But it was good to see the women really work together and do all the stuff that like they know they're capable of.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, you go from a 7-0 win to a 2-0 win the next day. Had to be something that changed in those 2 games.
Absolutely. I don't know what it was. Me and Mike kept joking. We don't play hockey. We don't know hockey nearly as well as probably Jeremy or even Ray does. But things were obviously working for them in the game, and I'm sure in the second game as well.
I mean, you put up 7 goals in a game, you're bound to win, especially when you have Angela Hawthorne between the pipes. Hawthorne is now the all-time saves leader for Utica women's hockey, the reigning Empire 8 Player of the Week. She passed the 1,827th save threshold. I think I said that right. I don't know. I'm not a math guy. I said that on like every broadcast I'm on. But I mean, you have Hawthorne between the pipes. You're pretty much in to win every game. I mean, you put up 7 goals. I mean, that's just another then you check the box, like, all right, we're probably going to win this one. But I'm looking at the box score. It's all different names. I mean, you have Haley Modlin, a grad student, Emma Corbett, transferring from last year, Kendall Best, freshman, Madison Novotny, the captain of the team. Like, this list is full of everyone on the roster. Everyone on this roster can contribute in any way. Every goal is assisted by numerous names. Like, everyone's walking up the point, it seems like. This women's team is a force to be reckoned with. Big test this weekend against Naz. And we talked to Doug Croft earlier. It's only a 4-team conference on the women's side of UCHC. But when you have the Pioneers and you have Nazareth kind of at the top every year, I mean, it's kind of like, I'm trying to think of a good comparison here. I lost my train of thought. I'll come back to that later. But when you have a team like this, when you can go out and just have an offensive onslaught any night you really want, it's pretty tough to beat.
I don't know how I forgot about Angela Hawthorne and that big record. That was like a big moment. Like, we were really excited to get to call that. And one thing I want to say about Angela Hawthorne is she did not react at all. Like, I was calling, I was really excited. Me and Mike were getting pumped because it's a huge moment. Like, most saves in Utica program history, and she didn't react and celebrate. It was nothing. I almost thought I got it wrong.
I listened back to the call and I was like, about Jack and Mike, I'm really happy that Hawthorne is just like,
she didn't move.
Go drop the puck. Like, I'm ready for the next shot that comes my way.
It was really confusing. I was worried I messed it up. But she was locked in, dialed, obviously put out a shutout in the same game. So that's a really big moment. Probably a great game for her.
Yeah, definitely. It's as you said, it's always easiest to win when you score 7 goals in a game. And also when you have a goalie, that's her 9th shutout of the year. And with the mentality that let's just keep playing. Like, a non-selfish player. She's definitely somebody you want on your team, a great team player. And we talked about the bounce back victories for the men's team after losing on the teddy bear toss. How about the bounce back this weekend? 9-0 combined victories after losing Tuesday night against Oswego State. You know that was an emotional loss for them, a ranked opponent. You obviously want to beat them and, for some momentum, but they lose and they come out and they handle business this weekend in the odd. So great moment for them. And as you said, great test this weekend, and it's just going to keep getting more interesting for this women's program.
I found a comparison. I just thought of it.
Okay, here we go.
Let's hear it.
JB's gonna like this one too. It's like John Cena and The Rock. That's what I can compare Utica women's hockey to Nazareth women's hockey to. 2 of the best to ever do it.
I like
and
that.
we got to see who comes out on top. And I know you're a huge John Cena fan, JB.
Oh, my favorite. Yeah, absolutely. Let's transition now over to gymnastics. They placed 4th in the Rutgers February quad. Let's take a look at some notable performances that led to their 186.250 performance. Looking at their performance, Maryland took 1st, Division I, Big Ten, massive team. Rutgers took 2nd with 194.475. It was a really close one. It was only a 0.200 point difference between Maryland and Rutgers, 2 Big Ten opponents. Really close, but that's some great competition. And for the ladies to go out and perform at Rutgers, 184 total points. Really great performance. Like I said, some notable performances was Emmy Graff. She came in 3rd with a score of 38.575 in the all-around. And then Grace Mara and Emmy Graff both also had great performances on the floor. Graff with a 9.650 and Mara with a 9.600. Big performances for them. We talked about those 2 names, and they put on a show out there in Rutgers.
Yeah, it's really tough for this team because this is obviously like a really huge meet, performing on like the Big Ten network. I know that was something we saw on the schedule and we were kind of like amazed that's something they were able to pull off. Obviously this team's only in their 2nd season, but I think one thing you have to know is that obviously these are really good opponents considering a Division III school like Utica. And then they've been really consistent with their team scores. If you look at all of the what they've been able to put up, they've got 186.650 in the first meet, 185.325 in the second, 188.275, and then they were able to still continue to do that in the bigger environment at Rutgers, 186.250, like you mentioned, JV. So this team's really able to be consistent even in these bigger environments against these much better schools, and they're still able to do their thing. So it's really kind of a testament to how consistent they're able to be, even just in the 2nd season of this program.
Yeah, you talked about it too, Jack, how this is a program that is going into a school on the Big Ten Network, big moment for them. And this is also a newer program too. I think this is their 2nd year. And I like how you brought up Grace Mara and Emmy Graff. Grace Mara, an All-American last year in their 1st year as a program. And Emmy Graff definitely making a huge impact as a freshman. Newer program, but definitely on, gas on the pedal and getting better each week.
I mean, yeah, when you got to compete with teams like Maryland and Rutgers, it's definitely not an easy day in the gym. But, I mean, you mentioned names like Amy Graff, Grace Mara. Pretty much every time we talk about Utica women's gymnastics, it seems like those are two names that always come up. You mentioned Grace being an All-American last year. I mean, that's a phenomenal honor. And obviously having another fantastic start to the season this year. I mean, those are just two really tough teams to go up and compete against. And there's really nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, it's kind of like the women's basketball side of things. You got to go up against the best to kind of see what we got, what we have, and where we're at in the grand scheme of things. And I think that's a really great finish for them coming off a weekend where they faced top-notch competition in Rutgers and on the Big Ten Network. I mean, that's something that those girls will probably never forget, and that's, I think, something that can kind of springboard their season. I like how he's a gymnastics reference.
That was good. I like that one. That was good. But they're also going to see a lot more competition this weekend as well. They're competing in the Empire State College Championships hosted by Cornell this weekend. Brockport, Cortland, Ithaca, and LIU, Long Island. These two right here. But yeah, it's going to be a lot more competition. Another Division I team like LIU, and obviously Cortland, Ithaca, great programs as well. Going to be interesting to see how they compete in that one. How you feel? Do you think Long Island's going to come out in front, or do you think Utica? What do you think? Prediction.
I consider myself an honest man, and I'm going to be honest with everyone at this table and everyone watching. I know absolutely nothing about LIU gymnastics.
Make that two of us.
I don't know. I have no idea how they're fair, but I mean, they just put up almost 190 points against Rutgers and Maryland and Fisk. So, I mean, again, I really think that that's a lot of momentum this team can build off of, playing against top-notch competition, going up against teams that are nearby, at least geographically, teams nearby Utica, some of them being in the Empire 8. And I think they got a shot. I mean, why not? Why not? Why write them off? Like Geno Smith, they tried to write me off, but I ain't right back.
Yeah, Coach Danielle Sermonaro, not sure if I'm pronouncing that correct. She's got to be proud of this team. They're still looking for their first win as a team. But obviously, we said it, new program, second year. So, just improvements every week, something to look forward to. And hopefully they can come out and win in Cornell. That would be a big moment for this team.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody at this table is looking forward to that for sure.
Absolutely. I think hopefully it's a surprise one. Obviously, against still really good teams. But last season they had a couple of meets where they were able to put up upwards of 190 points. And if upward 190 points in this meet would have put them further ahead in the rankings than they did. So I think if this team has a really, really good meet, which they've been able to do, hopefully we're in for a surprise.
Yeah, well, there was a team that had a really good meet this past weekend. Men's and women's track and field. They both competed this weekend. There were many great performances, led to records being broken, starting with, we got to talk about Tanner Warren, set a school record with 438.400.
Tanner's an athletic freak. I mean, me and Notar see him run around the bases, and it's kind of like Sonic the Hedgehog. Jack, I'm sure you've seen him around the track.
Oh, yeah.
He's really, really quick. Obviously, you get that when you see someone breaking records on the track. Congrats to Tanner and the track team on another phenomenal meet. Tanner, just a really good dude. I feel bad for him because he's a Ravens fan. Has to go through heartbreak every single season. But yeah, Tanner, congrats to you, man, and excited to play some baseball with you this year.
Yeah, it's an honor to watch this kid run. As you said, when he's running around the bases, I mean, when you're as fast as he is, it just enables so many things, especially in baseball. And he's a freak athlete, dual sport athlete, but just now he's going to chase his own record, especially this weekend at the meets at Utica, right?
Yeah, the home meet. But one thing I want to talk about you, Jeremy, like you said about seeing him run around the bases. I think that's one thing that gets confused sometimes in sports. You see like players that are faster than the other players. And you're like, wow, that guy's really fast. Tanner is like above that. Like
there's like fast, and then there's like faster, and then there's like
actual
Tanner, and then like Usain Bolt. They're pretty close.
No, but I don't know the exact number, but sub 48 or sub 49, 48 something.
48-38.
48-38. That is
video game stuff. Dude.
I don't know how much you guys know about track. That's disgusting.
Not too much, but I'll take your word for it.
48-30. Anything sub 50, I think at a D3 level is insane. So also shout out to Nolan Flynn. Also went sub 50, 49-73, I want to say.
That's
49-73, 400.
Yeah, so obviously Boston University, a really good track that they're working with. So obviously a lot of PRs we see at a university like that. Their track, I think it's like curved or something.
That's cool.
It's really interesting. Cool. So the Boston University meet is always one that people look forward to. So shout out to both of those guys. There were a lot of other really good performances as well.
I'm trying to wrap my head around running around, what is it, a 200 that they ran?
400.
400.
I'm trying to wrap my head around running a 400 and having it be under 50 seconds.
You think of like the dome, the track in the
Yeah,
dome,
I
that's
mean-
around that twice.
Yeah, that's not happening if I'm running. I'm probably taking at least, I don't know, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But again, I'm a baseball player, so like I don't even need to run when the ball goes 450 feet over the fence.
Okay, well,
When I'm pitching, it does.
think about, you said 2 minutes. That's, I don't know if you wrote down, I think Eddie Corcoran ran twice that in under 2 minutes.
So he ran an
800.
800 in under 2 minutes.
Like 158.
So what we
something.
should do, we should have this be a thing. Have him run an 800 and have me run a 400. And see
you'll
who
probably-
finishes first.
You might lose.
That would be close.
I definitely would lose.
I think I'm losing.
I'm looking right in the
I'm
camera. I'm
losing.
going to lose that. I'm totally going to lose.
I'm losing.
Yeah, well, you talked about Flynn. He finished third all time. So
Yeah.
2 guys in the 400 that absolutely dominated. Another guy that dominated, Hunter Logan. He placed third overall in the meet with a 16.32 meter throw, and he was the only D3 athlete in the final 2, which is awesome to see him compete on such a high stage.
He's always fun to watch. I mean, year in, year out, if you're that big, he's like 6'8". I don't know how much he weighs, but he is a big guy. And you watch him. I go over to throw. I don't watch throws a whole bunch. I mean, as a track athlete, I'll say that. I don't watch the throwers a whole bunch, nearly as much as I should, but I make sure to go watch Hunter Logan throw because I don't know how you throw anything. I don't think I can throw a baseball as far as he throws that shot.
Like I remember before practice a couple times, I see him in the little throwing pit. Like it's like right off this side of the turf, and I just stop what I'm doing and I watch. I'm like, dude, this is like not normal.
Yeah.
This guy picks up this metal circle and chucks it. Like imagine, I'm thinking like, what if he threw me? How far would I go? 'Cause he's
I'd
a
say
big
he
dude.
could probably get you to maybe 15 meters.
Dude, he'd launch me.
Yeah, he's 330. I looked that up. 6'8",
Oh my
330.
God,
Just a big human and a strong human.
It's like a
And
micro
as you said,
player.
I think he's flinging you very far.
Yeah.
I mean, but congrats to him.
He
and-
may clear the turf. He may go from like end zone to end zone if he threw me.
Yeah.
No. He's a freak athlete, and he's always working on his game. As you said, you see him throwing. I mean, I every time I'm down at the Dome, he's there, and the hard work pays off, and the results are definitely there for him to back up the work.
Yeah, another guy's kind of. Oh, go ahead.
So I was going to say one more thing about head coach James Lemieux in charge of all the throws. The Utica track team, he is an incredible coach. Last year, Jane Fahey, the closest Utica's ever come to a national championship. She got second at the national meet. So Coach Lemieux knows what he's doing. He's really good at what he does.
Yeah, I was just about to say. I was going to say Hunter kind of passing the torch on because we had another guy in shot put. Spencer Borghardt placed 10th with the 10.94. So another great throw by him too. So. I was going to say it was Hunter Logan passing the torch, but maybe it's Coach Lemieux.
Yeah, no, he is. If you are throwing under Coach Lemieux, you're probably going to improve by a lot to a point where even you're qualifying for nationals like he has done so many times.
Yeah, very successful John Thomas Terrier Classic. Now, for the last segment of this show, let's go around and give our picks for this week's upcoming games. I'll never get sick of that graphic. I think it's
so
awesome.
Cool graphic.
So cool.
Well, we got
You got
first.
whiteboards this time.
Yeah, we got whiteboards
Orange
too.
boards.
It's gonna
Orange
be even more fun. Unfortunately, no
Still
mugs
waiting
will be
though.
broken, but maybe we could break one
Well,
of these.
well,
on
we
somebody.
We're owed a broken mug.
We're owed, I think, 2.
I think we're on 2.
Is
'Cause
it 2?
Which one? I think it was
I was
you
threatened.
2.
I was being
I
threatened.
think
I
you were
said
threatened.
that-
I think it
if
started
you
with
could beat
Fisher.
Yeah, I said if the
Started with
Pioneers lose to Fisher, which they didn't, that I would break a mug over Jack's head.
You wouldn't do that.
I would break. No, let me rephrase it. I said if the Pioneers beat Fisher, I'd break a mug over Jack's head.
You wouldn't do that to
And they won
I
by
wouldn't,
34.
yeah.
34.
Yeah, it wasn't like
That
like
might
it
be
wasn't
too
even
much.
like
That
it
might be a
was.
little-
and
That's gruesome.
I didn't have to throw you through a table like Randy Orton style.
Fisher's also a team that lost to Naz by 2 points. So that was probably Utica's biggest win all
Yeah. It
year.
was such a good
And I think they heard that there was going to be mug snapping, and that's
Yeah.
the reason for their
Yeah,
win.
they're probably watching the 4J's sports show.
Yeah.
I mean, who isn't?
All right, let's get right in. Talk about men's basketball. They got a big game Friday night. Traveling on the road to Hartwick. We're going to start with Jeremy. What's your pick?
I mean, if it ain't broke, don't break it. Shout out Justin Mazovic.
My pen doesn't work.
I'm taking our men's basketball team. Yeah, let's see the record 8-0. Just went to my horn one more time. I'm taking our men's basketball team over Hartwick. We were talking maybe about an hour and a half ago. They have 5 games left in order to lock up, I think, the 3 seed. They have to go 3-2 at the worst. And I think they started that off going 1-0 in those last 5 games with a win in Hartwick.
I'm going to match you. I think I'm taking Utica. Got to talk to our producers. I need a new pen. Mine doesn't work. But I'm taking Utica. I think, like Jeremy said, I'm going to roll with Jeremy. If he's right, I don't know why I'm going to ever doubt him.
Hop on the train. I'm like Pat Mahomes.
I'm hopping on the Jeremy Horowitz train. I'm taking Utica, I think. Hartwick, solid team, but I don't think it's going to be any match for the Pioneers.
All right, Justin, you're up.
Give me Utica. It's that simple. I'm going to take the Pioneers. It was a fluke game last time they played at Hartwick. Hartwick is not a good team, and would they only win by 3? Well, we're keeping it simple. They're not good. And Utica is good. Dayon Thompson's playing out of his mind right now. Like I said, give me Utica.
Well, I'll disagree with. I agree with you guys on one facet, but on one facet I disagree. This Hartwick team is much better than the record says. They're 3-17. But Henry Perkins is a great player. We watched him play. He had a 20-point double-double. I will take Utica, though, in a close game. It's going to be close. Azebwa versus Perkins is going to be a fun matchup to watch. But I think overall the Pioneers will get a win on the road. And then next day, they got their senior day game versus Russell Sage. Jeremy, what do you got?
I mean, it's senior day, home game at Mega Court against a tough Empire 8 opponent. I'm going to take our very own
Take your time.
Utica men's basketball team to win. I'll move to 10-0, and we're going to slide down the jacket in the table so we can copy my pick.
I'm going to copy Jeremy's pick. I'm tailoring. I mean, I'm going with Jeremy. If he's not wrong, I mean, I think, again, the Utica team, they've shown they've been able to perform in the big moments sneer day. That's one of the biggest moments you're going to see.
Big as it gets, almost.
The guys that are on the court are going to want to play the most. I mean, I know we were talking to Naruto. I think he's going to get a couple minutes. Naruto Perdomo, close friend of all of ours.
Yeah.
Great player, great shooter.
Great guy.
Hope he can get some shots up, get some extra minutes. I think there's no reason for Utica not to win that game.
Not even picking up my marker, keeping it the same. Give me Utica again. Sage lost at home. Sage has lost a couple. Oh, yeah. Look at this guy. We'll take this guy. What is the Gator? We're going to take the Pioneers. I don't know what a Pioneer is, but.
I know what a Gator is.
Yeah, but like the Moose, Pioneers, it's a little different. But I'm taking Utica. Utica sweeping this weekend, just like they did last weekend. And I hope we have a clean sweep here.
Yeah, I hope so too. Before I give my pick, though, I would just love to say, imagine a Gator and a Moose fighting. That'd be awesome. I feel like that would just be
Moose
awesome.
is beating them up.
So I want to find out.
It would be a close one, but that one would be fun to watch. But, you know, when you look at the kind of backstory with this game, 13-7 overall, both teams, it's going to be an interesting game for sure. You know, both these teams sit right next to each other in conference. 4th place for the Pioneers, 5th place for the Gators. Pioneers won the last matchup 81-71 earlier this season. And we look at the all-time record, Pioneers 13-2, 7-0 at home. Give me Utica.
Wow, you really are good at erasing your board. Wow.
I know. I don't get the best erase over here, but yeah, Pioneers get a big sweep. Now let's transfer over to the women's side of things. They're also going to play Hartwick on Friday night. Jeremy, what's your pick?
I'm going to stay in-house. I know it was a tough weekend for them last weekend, but I think they get right. They play with heart, play with fire. Give me a Utica woman. Take home a win.
Play with heart against Hartwick.
That's corny.
Muddy. Muddy.
This is where I'm jumping off the Horowitz train, I think. I'm done going with Jeremy. I got to take Hartwick. I think if you look at the Empire 8 standings, both these teams are not in the best spot, and I think Hartwick's in a little bit higher spot. They're going to want a little bit more, and the Pioneers struggled a little bit more. So I'm going to take Hartwick on this one.
Well, I am also taking Hartwick. Sadly, going against Jeremy, but this is where I get my one game back pick in, and I'll tell you for first place. Utica, as we said, turning over the ball a lot, and just not playing the greatest basketball. They lost to Hartwick last time out. I think at home, I think Hartwick has this one as well. Sorry, Jeremy, got to go against you here.
It's all right. It's all right.
Well, I'm going to make this thing orange versus blue. I got Utica, orange polo sticking together. Pioneers are going to get a big win at home. Beat the Hawks last time out. I think they do a similar result out in Oneonta on the road. And, yeah, looking forward to that game for sure. Another game we're looking forward to is the Women's Senior Day. They're going to host Russell Sage on Saturday for their Senior Day game. Jeremy, what's your pick?
And it's Senior Day. How can you not pick them on Senior Day? I'm going to shout out Jahoff. I'm taking Utica, Muddy. We're going to the Lady Pioneers to bring home 2 wins over the weekend, especially on Senior Day. I mean, a lot of names going to be honored, and it just feels like that's a game where they come out and string 2 W's together.
You see this, Jeremy?
And I see a backwards thing. Oh my, it's all caps. You spelled it wrong. I have 2 L's.
All right, well, I spelled it wrong.
Make it 3. They're going to have another one after this weekend.
That was a kind of a bar. If I'm taking Hardwick, I got to take Russell Sage. Even on the senior day, I got to take Russell Sage. I think they're a really solid team. Again, a little bit higher in the rankings. The Empire 8, 5 and 6. I think they're going to want this win a little bit more.
Give me Utica. Senior day. Senior day. I know, because it's a lock. It is a lock. Look at this. Utica at senior day. It's going to be pure dominance by the Pioneers over the Gators. Like I said, what is a Gator? And all right, this guy's drawing a Gator.
Hey, don't spoil my pick.
But we're taking Utica for the clean sweep against Sage this weekend.
All right.
Let's see it.
As much as I can't think. All right, as much as it's going to be definitely, a big game, senior day for the ladies. I'm going with Russell Sage. Give me the Gators.
Boo.
Give me the Gators. Last matchup was razor close.
It looks terrible.
78-57. Pioneers turned the ball over nearly 30 times in that game. Gators 7-13, trying to make a push for the playoffs. I think if Utica wants a chance, they're going to have to take high percentage shots and get to the line, but I don't see that happening. I think the Gators are going to spoil the Pioneers senior day.
It's a really ugly Gator.
You don't like it?
It looks horrible.
It's a good Gator.
Looks like you drew with your eyes closed.
All right, let's transition over to the men's hockey side of things. They're going to travel to Chatham. Jeremy, what do you got?
Is that even a question? I'm not even going to show the whiteboard. I'm taking Utica. I mean, I'm taking them. It doesn't matter really who they play. I'm taking Utica no matter what. Give me the men's hockey team to win again.
I'm taking Utica on this one as well. I think the Utica hockey team, I've said this before, if I'm given the opportunity to pick between Utica and another opponent, there's not a whole lot of chances I'm going to take the other opponent against Utica men's hockey. An incredible team. They're talked about across the country. A really good team. I don't think there's any way they lose this one.
I'm going to make this interesting. I'm taking a split.
Yeah, I don't think you can do that.
I can't? Is that against the rules?
No, I think you can take a split.
I'm confused.
All right,
what
we'll
he's
take
doing.
the split. Double. It's a
Oh,
two-game
so
series.
all
Yeah.
right.
Oh, that would be.
It is in Chatham both games.
Yeah, I think Chatham played Geneseo well earlier in the year. They're home, and Chatham Geneseo is the team that gave Utica their biggest loss and worst loss. And I'll take Chatham to win one. I'm not sure which one, but I think they'll split this weekend.
Yeah, I'm taking a 6-7-1 team in conference. Good luck to you.
Utica times 2. I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. I'm taking Gary Heenan over a Cougars team that is not great. I think it's honestly good for them that they don't have to travel back. They're going to just stay out there in Chatham, play 2 games. I think that might help them, honestly. So, going to be an interesting series. Looking forward to see how we come out with our picks. Going to see how your split pick is. I don't know
Well,
about that.
they beat Geneseo on the road while Geneseo is number 3. So I'll take them to upset the Pioneers.
Okay, could be a interesting upset pick.
terrible pick.
Let's close things out here.
Come on.
Big game. We got the women's hockey team hosting Nazareth. I believe it's a 2-game series. They're going to play one here and then one out in Rochester.
I'm on the call on that game on Friday with me and Mike Malzahn. Last time, me and Mike Malzahn called a Utica women's hockey game against Nazareth. Casey Ryder scored an empty net goal to win it. I'm taking Utica yet again. I'm leaving it right here. I'm not going to change it. I'm taking the Utica women's hockey team to beat Naz not once, but twice, and continue to move up the rankings in the UCHC women's side of things. I just dropped my pen.
All right, well, Notar put me onto the method, I think. I didn't know we were allowed to split. So I'm going to take a split. I think Naz take the first one, Utica take the second one. They played each other last semester. They played them twice. Each team took one. I don't think there's any reason this is going to change. They're both pretty evenly ranked in the country. I think a split's a pretty safe answer. And I'm going to call it. Naz taking the first one, Utica taking the second one.
So you're saying that both away teams win?
Yeah.
I hope not, because I want to call a win from Friday night.
We're going Utica 2 times. Last pick of the show. Utica's gonna sweep this one. Can't pick against Utica too much. And oh my God! All right, I'm done. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I will go ahead.
Yo!
Boom!
You kidding
Naz times 2. Flyers. 15th team in the country for a reason.
Bro.
Give me Cacao. Give me the Eagles. They're going to fly in here just like they're going to fly
The
down
Eagles
on
ain't beating
Sunday.
Utica, and the Eagles ain't beating the Chiefs.
Eagles will be in Utica 2 times. Give me Naz They're a great team, great rivalry. They lost it to Utica in our place. They're not going to do it
They're
again.
gonna lose in our place and in their place.
Aren't they Golden Flyers? They're not even Eagles.
We might have to make a board bet with this one. Maybe I hit you in the head with this board.
Go ahead, please. I hope you do.
I'll throw it at you.
All right, we'll see. We'll figure that one out, and we'll let you guys know what we decide the punishment to be. But that'll just about do it here for us. Make sure you like and subscribe down below. We'll be here next week once again with more insight on everything Utica sports. So make sure to tune in. And thank you always for watching. And always remember to fear the moose.
Utica.